Captain Taiwan Kim stood on the bridge of the Earth diplomatic vessel Olive Branch. His hands gripped the rail tightly as he watched the stars through the main view screen. Humanity's first contact with an alien civilization was supposed to be a moment of celebration. Instead, it had turned into a nightmare. "Sir, the alien ship is powering up weapons," said Lieutenant Sun Hee of the sensor station. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed fear. "Are you sure?" asked Captain Kim. "We sent all the peaceful signals. We followed the first contact protocol exactly." Sun Hee nodded. "Yes, sir. Their energy readings are off the charts." Captain Kim reached for the communication panel. The face of a reptilian alien appeared on screen. Its scales were dark green with gold patterns. Its yellow eyes had vertical slits for pupils. "This is Captain Taiwan Kim of Earth. We come in peace. Please explain why you are activating weapons." The alien's mouth opened, showing rows of sharp teeth. "I am Commander Vex of the Valtharan Empire. We have scanned your vessel and your communications. We know all about your planet Earth." "Then you know we wish only friendship," said Captain Kim. The alien made a sound like stones grinding together. It took a moment for Captain Kim to realize it was laughter. "Friendship with primitives. Your species still uses projectile weapons, bullets and missiles. Primitive technology from a primitive world." The diplomatic team stood frozen on the bridge. Dr. Jai Young, Earth's head xenobiologist, stepped forward. "Commander, there is much we can learn from each other. Our differences are what make exchange valuable." The alien commander's eyes narrowed. "We have studied your history. Humans are violent and unpredictable. You would be a threat to galactic peace in time. The High Council has decided. Earth will be occupied for its own good." Before Captain Kim could respond, the view screen showed 5 more massive Valtharan ships appearing from behind the moon. They were each at least 3 times the size of the Olive Branch. "Sir, they're targeting our engines," cried Sun Hee. "Shields up. Contact Earth. Tell them." Captain Kim's order was cut short as the ship rocked violently. Red emergency lights flashed across the bridge. "Shields failing, sir. They're cutting through like they're not even there." Captain Kim watched in horror as a beam of blue energy sliced through the ship's diplomatic section. The screams of his team came through the internal communication system. Then silence. "Get to the escape pods," he ordered. "Everyone." The bridge crew hesitated. "That's an order. Earth needs to know what happened here." As the crew ran for the escape pods, Captain Kim made one last transmission to Earth. The ship rocked again as more weapons hit. Smoke filled the bridge. The Valtharan commander's face appeared on the cracked view screen. "We will spare one of your vessels. You, Captain, you will return to Earth with our message." Captain Kim stared defiantly at the alien. "And what message is that?" "You have 30 of your Earth days to prepare for occupation. Disarm your militaries. Dismantle your governments. Those who cooperate will be treated well. Those who resist will be eliminated." The last escape pod launched from the dying ship with Captain Kim inside. Through the small window, he watched as the Olive Branch broke apart in silent explosions. 6 members of the diplomatic team had been killed, all because these aliens thought humans were primitive. As the pod accelerated toward Earth, Captain Kim made a vow. The aliens feared human guns. They feared what they didn't understand. And they had made a terrible mistake. Because if there was one thing humans knew how to do, it was fight back when cornered. The pod's communication system crackled to life. Earth was calling. How would he tell them that the stars had turned hostile? How would he tell them they had just 30 days before the Valtharan Empire arrived? Captain Kim took a deep breath and opened the channel. The war for Earth's survival had just begun. 3 days after the attack, world leaders gathered in Seoul for an emergency summit. The grand meeting hall was filled with presidents, prime ministers, and military chiefs from every nation. Captain Taiwan Kim had told his story a dozen times already. Each time, he saw the same fear in the eyes of those who listened. They will be here in 27 days, said the Secretary General of the United Nations. Her face was pale with worry. Their technology is far beyond ours. What can we possibly do? On the large screen at the front of the hall, images from Captain Kim's escape pod showed the Volthoran ships. They were massive. Dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Weapons that cut through the Earth ship like it was paper. We should surrender, said the President of Brazil. If we fight, millions will die. Many heads nodded in agreement. Surrender. To lizards. The voice came from the back of the room. A man in a Korean military uniform stood up. Colonel Je-ho Park was not tall, but his presence commanded attention. He walked to the front of the hall. The aliens think we are weak because we use guns, projectile weapons, but they attacked us first. Why? Because they fear what they do not understand. The room fell silent. Colonel Park pointed to the screen. Look at their ships, all energy weapons, no physical defenses that we can see. They evolved differently than us. Captain Kim realized what Colonel Park was saying. Their scans, they were very interested in our weapons. Colonel Park nodded. Exactly. They see our technology as primitive, but they fear it. Otherwise, why not just say hello? A woman stood up near the front. Dr. Soo-min Lee, head of Korea's aerospace program. Colonel Park is right. I have analyzed the sensor data from the Olive Branch. The Volthoran ships have strong energy shields, but they are designed to stop energy weapons like their own, not physical objects. The French president shook his head. So what? Their ships are still more powerful than anything we have. Colonel Park smiled for the first time. Have you ever heard of the honey badger? The room was confused by this strange question. It is a small animal, not very big, not very strong looking, but it is famous for one thing. It fights animals much larger than itself. Lions, snakes, and it wins. Colonel Park tapped on a tablet, and a video played on the screen. A small black and white animal fighting off a pride of lions. The honey badger does not care how big you are. It does not care about the odds. It fights with what it has. It is creative. It is fierce. And most importantly, it never gives up. Captain Kim felt a spark of hope for the first time since the attack. Colonel Park continued, I propose we create a special unit, the Honey Badger Division, a team of the most creative, unconventional fighters from around the world. People who can think in ways the Volthrans cannot predict. What good will one small team do against an alien fleet? Asked the British Prime Minister. Dr. Lee stepped forward. If Colonel Park's theory is correct, we don't need to defeat their entire fleet. We need to capture one of their ships, learn its weaknesses, turn their technology against them. The room burst into argument. Some leaders thought the plan was crazy. Others saw it as their only hope. The Korean president stood up, quieting the room. We have 27 days before the Volthrans arrive. We can spend it preparing to surrender, or we can fight in a way they will not expect. He looked at Colonel Park. You have my support, Colonel. Form your Honey Badger Division. As the meeting continued, Captain Kim approached Colonel Park. I want to help. I saw these creatures up close. I know how they think. Colonel Park nodded. Good. We will need every advantage. Outside the meeting hall, dark clouds gathered. A storm was coming. But for the first time since the stars turned hostile, Earth was preparing to fight back. The abandoned military base in Siberia was cold. Snow fell outside as Major Hee-jung Kang looked at the 5 people standing before her. They were the first members of the Honey Badger Division. Each had been chosen for a special reason. Each was considered the best at what they did, but also the most difficult to work with. You are all here because you think differently, said Major Kang. Her voice was firm but calm. Normal soldiers follow orders. You question them. Normal soldiers use standard weapons. You create your own. The Volthrans are coming in 20 days, and normal thinking will not save us. A tall man with short black hair stepped forward. With all respect, Major, I should be flying jets, not standing in this frozen wasteland. Major Kang nodded. Lieutenant Ho-Jun Choi, top pilot in the Korean Air Force, also known for flying in ways that instructors said were impossible. She walked to the next person, a woman with sharp eyes and a serious face. Corporal Min Ji-yoon. You broke through the Voltharan communication codes in 6 hours, something our best computers could not do in 3 days. Next was a muscular man with scars on his hands. Sergeant Dong Hyuk Ryu, expert in weapons, famous for once defeating 3 enemy soldiers with only a cooking pot. The sergeant smiled slightly at the memory. Major Kang continued to a young man who looked barely old enough to be a soldier. Private Jae Sung-baek, you hacked into military systems to improve them. Instead of prison, you are here. Finally, she reached Captain Kim, who had survived the first attack, and Captain Ta-won Kim, the only human to face the Voltharans and return. Major Kang walked to a large metal table in the center of the room. You are all here because Colonel Park and I believe that conventional warfare will fail against the Voltharans. We need to think like the honey badger. Lieutenant Choi crossed his arms. And how does a small animal help us against ships that can destroy cities? In answer, Major Kang pressed a button. The wall slid open to reveal a workshop filled with strange weapons. These are prototypes based on Dr. Lee's research. The Voltharans have never faced kinetic weapons. Their shields stop energy, not physical objects. Sergeant Ryu picked up what looked like a shotgun, but with strange modifications. What is this? A magnetic acceleration shotgun, said Major Kang. It fires special rounds at speeds their shields cannot stop. Private Baek was looking at computer screens showing alien ship designs. These are from Captain Kim's scans. Captain Kim nodded. Everything I could record before my escape. Major Kang pointed to a large map showing Earth and the space around it. We have 20 days to prepare. The plan is not to fight their fleet head-on. We will capture one ship first. Capture? Corporal Yoon looked skeptical. How do we capture an alien warship? The same way the honey badger defeats larger animals, said Major Kang. We use their strengths against them. We attack where they do not expect. And we never, ever give up. She touched a screen, showing images of the alien commander. The Voltharans think we are primitive. They expect us to either surrender or fight a conventional war. They do not expect 5 humans to board one of their ships. The room was silent as they considered this impossible plan. How do we even get to their ships? Asked Lieutenant Choi. Major Kang smiled. That is where you come in, Lieutenant. We have something special for you to fly. She led them through another door. Inside was a small ship with strange markings. It looked alien. 3 days ago, a Voltharan scout ship landed to collect data. Our forces captured it. Dr. Lee has been working to understand its controls. For the first time, the team looked genuinely interested. Training begins now, said Major Kang. We have 20 days to learn how to be honey badgers. 20 days to save Earth. As snow fell outside the base in Siberia, the 6 members of the Honey Badger Division began to prepare for the most important mission in human history. 10 days had passed since the formation of the Honey Badger Division. The team worked day and night in the Siberian base. Dr. Soo-min Lee arrived with new information that would change everything. I have decoded more of the Voltharan communications, she said, spreading papers on the table. The team gathered around her. What I found explains why they fear our weapons. Major Kang leaned forward. Tell us. Dr. Lee pointed to an image of the Voltharan homeworld. Their planet has much stronger gravity than Earth, almost twice as strong, and the atmosphere is 3 times thicker. What does that mean for us? Asked Captain Kim. It means 2 things, Dr. Lee explained. First, the Voltharans are physically weaker than humans. They evolved in high gravity, but their muscles adapted differently. In Earth gravity, they would be slower than us. Sergeant Ryu nodded with interest. And the thick atmosphere. That is why they never developed projectile weapons, said Dr. Lee. In their atmosphere, bullets and missiles would be very slow and ineffective. They went straight to energy weapons because that was more efficient for their world. Private Bake was typing quickly on his computer. So their ships have no defenses against our kind of weapons because they never needed them. Exactly, said Dr. Lee. Their shields stop energy perfectly, but solid objects can pass through at certain speeds. Lieutenant Choi had been practicing in the captured scout ship simulator. That explains why their ships move the way they do. The controls are designed for beings used to more gravity. Major Kang turned to Corporal Yoon. Have you learned anything from their communications? Corporal Yoon played a recording of Valthoran voices. The sounds were strange, but she had added translations below. They are very concerned about Earth. They call us Deathworlders. They think our planet should be impossible to live on because of the low gravity and thin atmosphere. They think we are the aliens, said Captain Kim, understanding dawning on his face. Dr. Lee nodded. They see us as dangerous because we developed in conditions they consider extreme. They are right to fear us, just not for the reasons they think. Major Kang walked to the weapons rack where Sergeant Ryu had been modifying Earth weapons. Show me what you have created. Sergeant Ryu picked up what looked like a normal handgun. Standard pistol, but with special rounds. The bullets are designed to change speed as they pass through energy fields. When they hit the shield, they slow down just enough to pass through, then accelerate again. He pointed to larger weapons. Shotguns work even better. The spread of pellets confuses their sensors. Major Kang tested the weight of the pistol. Good work. What about their personal armor? Thin but strong, said Sergeant Ryu. Designed to disperse energy weapons, but a physical hit will knock them down. Remember, they are used to heavier gravity. A human punch will feel powerful to them. Lieutenant Choi had been quiet, but now he spoke. I can fly the scout ship. The controls are strange, but I understand them now. I can get us to one of their ships. Private Bake raised his hand. And I can hack into their systems. Their computers are advanced, but not secure against our methods. They never expected anyone to try. Major Kang looked at her team with pride. In just 10 days, they had learned more about the enemy than anyone thought possible. Tomorrow we begin combat training, she said. We will practice fighting in the scout ship. We will learn to move in their environment. Captain Kim looked at the countdown clock on the wall. 10 more days until the Valthoran fleet arrives. 10 days to become the perfect honey badgers, said Major Kang. 10 days to save our world. As the team dispersed to continue their work, Dr. Lee pulled Major Kang aside. There is one more thing you should know. The Valthorans have a saying in their language. It translates roughly to fear the unknown weapon. Major Kang smiled. Then we will give them plenty to fear. 5 days before the deadline, the Valthrans broke their promise. 3 scout ships entered Earth atmosphere to study landing sites. The world leaders panicked, but Major Kang saw an opportunity. This is our chance, she told the Honey Badger team. We can strike first instead of waiting for their main fleet. The captured scout ship, now painted with a Honey Badger symbol, sat ready in the hangar. Lieutenant Choi had named it Little Badger. Are we really doing this? Asked Captain Kim. The plan was to wait until the main fleet arrived. Major Kang looked at each team member. Plans change. The Valthrans expect us to be scared and hiding. They do not expect us to attack. Sergeant Ryu checked his weapons one last time. My father always said the best defense is a strong offense. What about authorization? Asked Corporal Yoon. Colonel Park and the world leaders have not approved this mission. Major Kang smiled. That is why we are the Honey Badger Division. We do what needs to be done. If we wait for approval, we may lose our only chance. Are you with me? One by one, the team nodded. Then suit up. We launch in 30 minutes. The team put on their special combat suits designed by Dr. Lee. The suits were light but strong, with built-in tools for space operations. Each member carried modified weapons designed to work against Valthran technology. As they boarded the Little Badger, Lieutenant Choi ran final checks on the systems. "The ship is ready. I can mimic their flight patterns now." "Good," said Major Kang. "We will approach the largest scout ship. Private Beck will jam their communications. Then we attach and cut our way in." The hangar doors opened to reveal the snowy Siberian night. The Little Badger rose silently and shot into the sky. Within minutes, they were in space. "Valthran scout ships detected," said Corporal Yoon, watching the sensors. "3 of them, just as reported. The largest one is near the moon." Lieutenant Choi plotted a course. "I can approach from their blind spot. Their sensors are not designed to detect ships coming from below." The Little Badger moved quickly through space. Earth grew smaller behind them as they approached the Valthran scout ships. "Get ready," said Major Kang. "Private Beck, start jamming their communications." Private Beck typed commands into his console. "Jamming active. They cannot call for help." The Little Badger slid quietly under the large Valthran scout ship. It was 3 times their size, with glowing blue engines. "Now, Lieutenant," ordered Major Kang. Lieutenant Choi fired the magnetic grapples. They shot out and attached to the Valthran ship with a solid thunk. The Little Badger was now connected to the enemy vessel. "Sergeant Ryu, prepare the cutting tools," said Major Kang. Everyone else, helmets on. They sealed their suits and prepared for space exposure. Sergeant Ryu activated a circular cutting tool that began to slice through the Valthran hull. "They have detected us," warned Corporal Yoon. "Internal alarms are sounding." "Work faster," Major Kang told Sergeant Ryu. The cutting tool finished its work. A circular piece of hull floated free, revealing the inside of the Valthran ship. "I go first," said Major Kang. Then Sergeant Ryu, Captain Kim, Private Beck, and Corporal Yoon. "Lieutenant Choi, stay with our ship and be ready for a quick exit." Major Kang pushed off and floated through the hole into the enemy ship. The others followed quickly. Inside, red emergency lights flashed. 3 Valthran crew members stared in shock at the human intruders. They were tall, reptilian beings with scales that shimmered in the light. "Humans," one hissed in broken English. "Impossible." Major Kang raised her modified pistol. Surprise! The first battle between the Honey Badger Division and the Valthran Empire had begun, and the Valthrans were about to learn why humans from a low-gravity world were more dangerous than they had imagined. The 3 Valthrans reached for their energy weapons. They moved slowly compared to the humans. Major Kang fired first. Her modified pistol made a loud crack. The bullet passed right through the Valthran shield and hit the alien in the shoulder. The Valthran fell back, shocked more than hurt. "Their personal shields are like their ship shields," shouted Sergeant Ryu. "They stop energy, not bullets." The other Valthrans fired their weapons. Beams of blue light shot toward the humans. Captain Kim ducked, and the beam hit the wall behind him, leaving a smoking hole. "Move fast," ordered Major Kang. "They are not used to our gravity. We have the advantage of speed." The team spread out through the ship. Alarms blared loudly. More Valthrans appeared in the corridor ahead. "Corporal Yoon, can you understand what they are saying?" asked Major Kang. Corporal Yoon listened to her translation device. "They are calling us demons. They do not understand how we got on board." Sergeant Ryu pulled out his modified shotgun. The Valthrans fired again, but their shots were easy to dodge. The humans were quicker, more agile in the lighter gravity than what the Valthrans were used to. Sergeant Ryu fired his shotgun. The spread of pellets confused the Valthran shields. 3 aliens went down at once. "We need to reach the bridge," said Major Kang. "Private Beck, which way?" Private Beck checked the ship layout on his wrist computer. 2 levels up. There should be an elevator shaft ahead. They fought their way forward. The Valthrans were becoming more organized, but still moved awkwardly in what was for them low gravity. Captain Kim picked up a fallen Valthran weapon. "Their guns are useless against us if we move quickly, but very effective against them." He fired the alien weapon at a door blocking their path. The metal melted away instantly. Meanwhile, on Earth, Colonel Park was facing angry world leaders. "Your Honey Badger division has started an unauthorized attack," shouted the American president. "You have doomed us all." Colonel Park stood calmly. Major Kang is following the true spirit of the mission. The Valthrans broke their word by sending scouts early. She is showing them that humans are not easy targets. Back on the Valthran ship, the team had reached the bridge. 6 Valthran officers turned in surprise as the humans burst in. "Surrender your ship," demanded Major Kang. The Valthran captain stood tall. His scales were darker than the others, with gold patterns showing his rank. "Humans, you are more resourceful than we expected." "You underestimated us," said Major Kang. "A common mistake when facing an unknown enemy." The Valthran captain signaled to his crew to lower their weapons. "How did you get past our shields?" Sergeant Ryu held up his shotgun. "Primitive technology." Private Bake was already at the ship's computer console. "Major, I have access to their systems. Their security is designed to stop energy attacks, not physical inputs." Corporal Yoon joined him. "I can broadcast on their frequencies now. We can send a message to their fleet." Major Kang smiled. "Perfect." Captain Kim watched the prisoners. "Sergeant Ryu, secure the door." She turned to the Valthran captain. "Your people thought Earth would be easy to conquer because our weapons seemed primitive. But you failed to understand that different worlds create different strengths." The Valthran captain seemed to study her. "You are the first species to ever board one of our ships by force. The High Council will not take this lightly." "Good," said Major Kang. "Then tell your High Council this message. Earth is not surrendering. And we are just getting started." Private Bake looked up from the computer. "Major, I have their fleet movements. The main invasion force is still 3 days away, but they have dispatched a strike force to respond to our attack." Major Kang nodded. "Then we need to work quickly. This ship is now property of Earth, and we are going to use it to show the Valthrans exactly what humans can do." Outside the captured ship, Earth forces were already responding to the situation. What had started as an unauthorized mission was now becoming something much bigger. The first real battle for Earth's survival. 2 days later, the Honey Badger division faced disaster. The Valthran strike force had arrived faster than expected. 5 large warships surrounded their captured scout ship. Lieutenant Choi had performed amazing flying maneuvers, destroying 2 enemy vessels, but now they were trapped. "Engine room is hit," reported Captain Kim over the ship communications. "We are losing power." Major Kang gripped the captain's chair on the bridge. "Status report." Private Bake looked up from his console. "Shields at 20%. Weapons are still online but failing. We cannot take another direct hit." The Valthran ships fired again. The scout ship shook violently. Sparks flew from control panels. "We are being boarded," said Corporal Yoon. "Multiple breaches on lower decks." Major Kang made a quick decision. "Fall back to the engine room. It is the most defensible position." Lieutenant Choi set the autopilot to ram the largest enemy ship. "Then join us." The team grabbed their weapons and moved quickly through the damaged ship. They could hear Valthran boarding parties breaking in behind them. When they reached the engine room, Sergeant Ryu set up defensive positions using cargo containers. The large engine core glowed blue in the center of the room. "This is where we make our stand," said Major Kang. "Remember your training. Remember Earth depends on us." Lieutenant Choi arrived, breathing hard. "Autopilot set, but it will not work. They are disabling our engines remotely." Private Bake was working frantically at an engineering console. "I am trying to block their signal, but their technology is too advanced." The door to the engine room burst open. 20 Valthran soldiers poured in, weapons ready. Behind them stood a tall Valthran in ornate armor. His scales were deep red with black markings. "I am Commander Zex of the Imperial Fleet," he announced. "You humans have fought well, But your resistance ends now. Surrender." Major Kang and her team stood their ground, weapons aimed at the Volthrans. "No," said Major Kang simply. Commander Zex tilted his head. "You are surrounded. Your ship is crippled. Your weapons are nearly depleted. What do you hope to accomplish?" "We are showing you that humans never give up," said Major Kang, "even when the odds are impossible." The Volthran commander hissed in what might have been laughter. "Brave but foolish. You are 5 against my entire fleet." Private Beck had been quietly typing at his console while the commander spoke. He caught Major Kang's eye and nodded slightly. "You misunderstand us," said Major Kang. "On our world, there is an animal called the honey badger. It is small, but it fights creatures 10 times its size. And it wins." Commander Zex stepped forward. "And how does this small creature win?" "It changes the rules of the fight," said Major Kang. She nodded to Private Beck, who pressed a final key on his console. Suddenly, the artificial gravity in the engine room increased dramatically. The Volthrans collapsed to the floor, struggling to move under what felt like their homeworld's gravity. But the humans, used to Earth's stronger pull than the ship's normal setting, could still stand and move. "What is this?" gasped Commander Zex, pinned to the floor. "We studied your biology," said Major Kang, walking easily among the fallen Volthrans. "You evolved on a high-gravity world, but your muscles adapted differently than ours. You are stronger in your gravity but weaker in ours. And now we have turned your own ship's systems against you." She stood over the Volthran commander. "You should have studied Earth wildlife better. The honey badger does not care about the odds. It just wins." Major Kang looked at her team. Despite their injuries and the damage to their ship, they were still fighting, still defiant. "Now," she said to the fallen commander, "let us discuss the terms of your surrender." News of the Honey Badger Division's victory spread quickly. Corporal Yoon had recorded the entire battle and sent the footage to Earth. The video of 5 humans defeating a Volthran commander and his elite troops went viral across the planet. Colonel Park stood proudly in front of the United Nations Security Council. On large screens behind him played scenes from the battle. "As you can see," he said, "the Volthrans are not invincible. Their technology is advanced, but they have weaknesses we can exploit." The leaders watched in amazement as the video showed Major Kang's team using simple Earth weapons to defeat the aliens who had seemed so terrifying just days before. "What happened after they captured the Volthran commander?" asked the British Prime Minister. Colonel Park smiled. Major Kang forced Commander Zex to order his fleet to stand down. They now control 3 Volthran ships. But more importantly, they discovered the Volthran's main weakness. He played another video showing Dr. Lee explaining the science. The Volthrans evolved on a high-gravity world with thick atmosphere. Their muscles and bones developed differently than ours. In Earth's gravity, humans are stronger and faster. In space combat, this gives us a surprising advantage. In orbit around Earth, the captured Volthran ships were now painted with the honey badger symbol. Earth's military forces were rapidly adapting to the new tactics. Soldiers trained with modified weapons designed to penetrate Volthran shields. On the main Volthran command ship, Commander Zex stood before a hologram of the Volthran Emperor. The Emperor's scales were pure gold, his eyes glowing with anger. "You were defeated by 5 humans." The Emperor hissed. "This is unacceptable." Commander Zex bowed his head. "Emperor, these humans are not what our reports suggested. They are stronger than we thought, more resourceful." "Excuses," said the Emperor. "Our main fleet will arrive tomorrow. We will crush them with overwhelming force." Commander Zex hesitated. "My Emperor, I believe we should reconsider this invasion. The humans have already adapted to our technology. They are spreading their tactics to other units. And there is something else." "What?" demanded the Emperor. "Their determination. They call themselves after an Earth animal that does not know how to surrender. I have seen this spirit myself. They will fight to the last human." The Emperor dismissed these concerns. One small victory does not win a war. Prepare the fleet for the final attack. Meanwhile, in the skies above Earth, Valthran dropships began to land. The main invasion had begun early. The Honey Badger Division's victory had forced the Valthrans to change their plans. Major Kang's team, now aboard the largest captured ship, watched the radar as enemy vessels entered Earth's atmosphere. "They are targeting major cities," said Lieutenant Choi. "Can we intercept them?" asked Major Kang. Private Baek was working at the ship's communication system. "Better than that. I am broadcasting the weakness we discovered to all Earth forces. Military units worldwide are adapting our tactics." Sergeant Ryu had modified hundreds of Earth weapons. "The first shipments of our special ammunition have reached ground forces. They will be ready." Captain Kim pointed to the radar. "Look, other human ships are joining us. The Space Forces are rallying around the Honey Badger flag." Major Kang stood tall, watching as Earth's desperate defense came together. What had started as a small Special Forces team had become a symbol of hope. "Send this message to all Earth forces," she said to Corporal Yoon. "The Valthrans expect us to fight like humans. Today, we fight like honey badgers." Across the world, soldiers and civilians prepared for battle. The odds were still against them. The Valthran fleet was massive, but something had changed. The fear was gone, replaced by determination. Earth was fighting back. 6 months after the Great Battle for Earth, Major Hee-jung Kang stood in the Grand Hall of the United Nations. The room was packed with leaders from every nation. Today was the day Earth would sign its first treaty with the Valthran Empire. The war had ended 3 months ago. After 2 months of fierce fighting, the Valthrans had called for peace. Humans had proven too difficult to conquer. Their projectile weapons, their strength in Earth gravity, and their honey badger determination had turned what should have been an easy victory into a costly defeat. "Major Kang," said the Secretary General, "you and your team changed the course of history. Please step forward." Major Kang, now wearing a formal military uniform with the honey badger patch, walked to the podium. Behind her came her team. Lieutenant Choi, Sergeant Ryu, Corporal Yoon, Private Baek, and Captain Kim. They all bore scars from the fighting, but they stood tall with pride. "The Honey Badger Division did not win this war alone," said Major Kang. "Earth united as never before. Soldiers and civilians from every country fought together. We shared our tactics, our weapons, and our resolve." The doors at the back of the hall opened. A group of Valthrans entered, led by a figure in gleaming golden armor. The Valthran Emperor himself had come to sign the peace treaty. The room fell silent as the Emperor approached the podium. He was taller than the other Valthrans, his movements careful in Earth's gravity. "6 months ago," said the Emperor, his voice translated through a device on his chest, "we came to Earth believing humans were primitive and weak. We were wrong." He looked directly at Major Kang and her team. "Your Honey Badger Division taught us an important lesson. Technology is not the only measure of a species. Your adaptability, your determination, and your courage have earned our respect." The Emperor reached into a ceremonial box carried by an attendant. He removed a weapon unlike any the humans had seen before. It was the royal scepter of the Valthran Empire, a symbol of power and authority. "Major Kang," said the Emperor, "this weapon has been carried by Valthran rulers for 10,000 years. Today I present it to you as a symbol of our respect and as a promise of peace between our worlds." Major Kang accepted the scepter with a formal bow. "On behalf of Earth, we accept your respect and offer our friendship in return." After the ceremony, Dr. Lee approached the team with exciting news. "The Valthrans have offered to share their technology with us. They want to learn from us as well. There is talk of joint exploration missions." Colonel Park, recently promoted to general, smiled proudly at his Honey Badger team. "You have opened the door to the stars for humanity, not through surrender, but through earning respect." 1 year later, at the new Valthran Academy on their home world, young Valthran cadets gathered for an important lesson. On the wall hung a picture of Major Kang standing defiantly in the engine room of the captured ship. "Today," said the Volthran instructor, "we study the honey badger principle. Never underestimate a species based on technology alone." Humans appeared primitive but possessed strengths we did not understand. The instructor pointed to a new classification in the galactic database. Humans were now listed as Deathworlders. Approach with caution and respect. In Earth orbit, the first joint human-Volthran exploration vessel prepared for launch. Its name was painted proudly on the hull, the Honey Badger. Inside, Major Kang and her team worked alongside Volthran crew members, former enemies now united in exploration. Captain Kim looked out at the stars. Where to next? Major Kang smiled. Everywhere. The Honey Badger is curious as well as brave. As the ship moved away from Earth, humans and Volthrans stood side by side on the bridge. The universe was vast, filled with unknown dangers and wonders. But whatever they found out there, they would face it together, with the spirit of the Honey Badger leading the way.